Hello Internet, this is Irina, the Siberian who's gone international. We all are in this isolation right now, so I decided to make a video telling about some of the movies which I really liked watching, so that you would have some additional means to entertain yourself with during this isolation. I promise, no spoilers. Okay, beware that it's not gonna be a bunch of heartwarming, positive movies, if that's what you're looking for, but since you're on my channel and you find something interesting in it, the chances are that the movies which I like will also find a place in your heart. I noticed that I tend to like the movies which are a bit on the darker side. I'm not sure why, I actually thought about it, and maybe it's because they, fight the movies which create this sugar-coated version of reality, which then makes us really disappointed in the real lives because our bar of expectations is now too high. I mean, don't get me wrong, sometimes those sweet kind movies are nice too, but somehow the ones which stay in your memory and stay in your heart are the ones which are a bit on the darker side. Anyway, the movies I'm gonna recommend today are not that dark. I think I'm gonna make another separate video about some like really heavy stuff, movies which I like. But the movies of today are really easy to watch, they're really easy to consume. It's just I think that they're not as well known as they deserve to be. So there's a high chance that you haven't seen them and they actually might entertain you during this isolation. Okay, let's begin. The movie number one is called Coherence. In general, I tend to like the movies which are about a group of people confined in some location, and then the whole movie is about their dialogues or them trying to resolve a certain problem. And Coherence is a bit like this. It's about a group of friends who gather up in one of the houses to have a dinner together, and soon they find out that this night a comet is supposed to pass by our planet and it might affect electric devices, but soon we will find out that not only the electric devices. So they eat dinner, they talk, and eventually some weird and a bit creepy stuff starts happening. I'm not gonna tell you more. If this sounds interesting, go watch it. You are likely to enjoy this movie if you like suspense, science fiction, and the movies which let you observe the group dynamics. The second movie on my list is Snowpiercer. It's a movie based on a French novel produced by South Korea and Czech Republic, and it tells about a bunch of people who have survived the apocalypse, and now they're traveling on this train around the globe, and this train is essentially a perpetual motion machine. There's a strict hierarchy with the elite living in the front cars of the train and the third-class citizens living in the back of the train. So it's like an anti-utopian society which has clear segregation between classes, and it gives an interesting look into how people can be manipulated into believing something, how the revolutions can be triggered, and on top of that it's very captivating to watch because it's fun to observe the differences between different cars, and there's a lot of action ongoing, so I'm sure you will be rather entertained by this movie. The third movie is the Spanish movie called The Platform. And to be honest, The Platform and Snowpiercer remind me of each other a little bit because they both kind of show this tiny version of society, and they show on this smaller scale how societies operate. And it starts with a man waking up in this hall which has many levels, and he wakes up at the level 40 something, and he soon discovers that once a day a platform with some food on it passes through all the levels, starting on top and then going lower and lower and lower. The representatives of each level are allowed to eat the food only when the platform is staying at their level. Then it goes down and the representatives of the next level can eat whatever is left over from the eaters from above. Once a month they relocate you to another level, and you never know on which level you're gonna wake up the next month. You probably already know where it's going to, but I'm not gonna spoil it for you, so I will just shut up and let you watch it yourself. The next movie is called Perfect Strangers. It's an Italian movie and the original name is Perfetti Sconosciuti. I'm really sorry for my horrible pronunciation. Well, again, this is the genre which I like a lot. It's all about the dialogues, and group dynamics, and the idea of the movie is pretty simple. It's a bunch of couples who've been friends for ages, gather up for a dinner together, and at some point they decide to play a game that they should all have their phones on the table, and whenever somebody calls them, they must have this conversation on a speaker so that everyone could hear, and if they receive a text or a picture, they must show it to the rest of the group. So of course it leads to a lot of conflicts, and it's really entertaining to watch. I think you will enjoy this movie if you're a fan of this genre like I am. And the last two movies on my list are Sleep Tight and The Body. They both are Spanish movies, and I remember I watched them within the same year, and it kind of made me realize, hey, Spain makes good movies apparently. What? They both are psychological thrillers. This is one of my favorite genres, and I remember that they both managed to surprise me with their twists. Sleep Tight might disturb you a little bit if you're super sensitive, but I think it's still worth watching. To be honest, I'm a bit conscious about recommending them because I watched them a while ago. To be honest, I watched all of the movies from this list except The Platform 3 or 4 or even more years ago. And you know, like, you grow, you develop, and the stuff which blew your mind 10 years ago might not seem like anything special to you now. But I think it's a good sign that I still have all these movies in my mind, because, you know, with some movies you watch them and 2 months later you have absolutely no reconciliation of that ever happening. Anyway, Sleep Tight, or in Spanish Mientras duermes, or something like that. It's a movie about a concierge which works in this condominium building, and he believes that there's something wrong with him and he is incapable of feeling the happiness of being happy. And his mission in this world is to make unhappy everyone else. So what he does is he's trying to mess up the lives of the people living in this condo. And The Body, it's a movie about a man who has recently lost his wife, and now her corpse, her body, has disappeared from the morgue. So the investigation begins and they try to find the body, finding out a lot of other stuff along the way. If any of these movies sounds interesting to you, please go ahead, watch them, let me know what you think later. If you enjoyed watching this video, please click that tiny like button because it equals a tiny thank you and means a lot to me. So this is it for today. Thanks for watching, bye, and try having some fun during this quarantine.